I never thought I'd be the guy to get blindsided like this. My name's Jake, and I've been with Lisa for about 5 years now. We met pretty randomly. She was working as a bartender, and I was a regular at her place. Things moved fast, we clicked, and I fell for her hard. She's smart, sexy, and honestly the most confident woman I've ever met. We got married last year, and I really thought we had it all figured out, or so I believed. Our relationship wasn't perfect. There were moments of friction, sure. Lisa's a bit of a bitch when she's annoyed, and she's got this nasty habit of lying to cover her ass. But I always thought those were just little flaws, nothing that would threaten what we had. Until recently, I started noticing strange things. Small stuff at first. Her phone going silent when I was around, quick glances over her shoulder when she thought I wasn't looking, and her getting weirdly defensive when I asked about her whereabouts. I brushed it off, thinking maybe I was just paranoid or stressed about work. But deep down, I knew something was off. Then last month, I got this brilliant idea. We were celebrating our anniversary, my idea, of course. I scored us these fancy kitchen passes from a high-end restaurant downtown. You know, the kind that lets you go behind the scenes, see how the chefs do their magic, maybe even get some tips. It wasn't cheap, but I wanted to do something special, something memorable. Lisa loves food, loves to cook, and I thought this was perfect. She was ecstatic, acting all sweet and appreciative, more than usual, honestly. But I noticed her eyes flicker a little too eagerly when I handed her the passes. The night of our anniversary dinner was supposed to be perfect. We dressed up, went to this fancy restaurant called La Belle Vie, and everything was glamorous. We had a few glasses of wine, laughed, and I even caught her sneaking looks at the chef. Michael, I think his name was. She kept whispering to him, leaning in a little too close, and I caught her biting her lip when he smiled at her. I told myself it was just her trying to learn some cooking secrets, but a tiny part of me felt uneasy. She was acting weird all night, fidgeting, avoiding my gaze, whispering when she thought I wasn't listening. Then came the moment I'll never forget. When the staff brought out the dessert, I saw Lisa slip away toward the wine cellar. I didn't think much, maybe she needed to use the bathroom or get some air. But I followed her out of curiosity, and that's when everything exploded. I heard muffled voices, saw the door slightly ajar, and decided to peek inside. The sight that greeted me was like a punch to the gut. There she was, Lisa, pressed against Michael, the chef kissing him passionately. They looked so caught up in their own world, completely unaware of me lurking just outside. My heart stopped. I couldn't breathe. My stomach twisted. I felt a mix of shock, rage, and heartbreak all at once. I froze, watching them until Lisa finally looked up and saw me standing there, her face flipping from lustful to furious in about a second. Michael looked equally stunned. I don't think I've ever been so humiliated in my life. That moment, that betrayal, will stay with me forever. I wanted to scream, to yell, to do something, anything. But all I could do was stand there, trembling, as they broke apart, and she started throwing her usual lies at me, saying she was learning cooking secrets and that I was just overreacting. Yeah, right, I knew better. That's how it all started. The truth was out, and everything I thought I knew about my marriage crumbled in that very moment. The woman I loved, who I trusted with everything, was cheating on me with my favorite chef, someone I admired, someone I thought was a good guy. It hit me hard, and I knew then I had to decide what to do next. Because whatever this was, it wasn't just a mistake or a one-time thing. It was something that had been going on for a while, and I had to face the reality that I was being played. I thought I was the one in control of my life, but this shattered everything I believed in. After I saw Lisa pressed against Michael, kissing him like she was trying to set the world on fire, I didn't even know what to think at first. My mind was racing, my pulse pounding so loud I thought it might burst out of my chest. I stood there, frozen outside that wine cellar door, watching them make out like a couple of teenagers. My wife was cheating on me during our anniversary dinner with the guy I admired, the chef who I thought was a good, decent man. It was like I'd been punched in the stomach, then kicked in the face all at once. The worst part, Lisa saw me. She saw me watching, and instead of stopping, she just looked at me with this smug, defiant expression. Like she wanted to rub it in my face that she was doing what she wanted, with no regard for me or what I thought. That moment, I swear, I felt my entire world tilt on its axis. It was like everything I thought I knew was a lie. Suddenly, all the little suspicions, all the weird behaviors made sense. She was cheating. She'd been lying to me for months, maybe longer. I quietly stepped back, trying to process what I'd just seen, and I swear it was like time slowed down. I couldn't breathe. My hands were trembling, and I felt like I might be sick. I stormed out of the cellar, not knowing what I was going to do next, just knowing I couldn't stay there and pretend everything was fine. I went to the car, sat there for a long minute trying to gather my thoughts. The betrayal cut so deep I could hardly think straight. My wife, my partner, the woman I thought I knew, she was screwing around behind my back during what should have been the happiest night of our lives. When I finally went back inside, Lisa was waiting for me at the table, her face still smug, like she was proud of herself. She tried to act like everything was normal, but I saw right through her. I could see the guilt hiding behind her eyes, the way she avoided my gaze, the way her hands trembled slightly when she thought I wasn't looking. She kept insisting it was just learning cooking secrets, that she wasn't doing anything wrong. Seriously. During our anniversary dinner in the wine cellar, the perfect place for secrets and passion, that was her story. I knew better. I didn't yell right away. I just looked at her, feeling this boiling rage inside me. I wanted to rip her apart, to scream at her for betraying everything we had. But instead, I stayed quiet because I knew this wasn't going to be resolved with words. We had crossed a line, and I needed to figure out my next move. I already knew I couldn't trust her anymore, not in the same way. She had lied, cheated, and taken what she wanted without a second thought. That moment in the cellar played over and over in my head, like a horror movie I couldn't turn off. Over the next few days, everything changed. I started noticing more things. Her phone constantly tucked away in her purse, more excuses to stay out late, and the way she'd get defensive whenever I asked about her whereabouts. She'd lie outright, spinning stories about her learning new recipes or catching up with friends. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I knew she was lying. I knew she was fooling around. What really crushed me was how she tried to act like she was the victim. She'd throw tantrums, call me paranoid, accuse me of overreacting, even say I was jealous and insecure. That made me feel even worse. I wasn't jealous, well, maybe a little, but mostly I was devastated. How could she do this to me, after everything I'd done for her? I had given her my trust, my love, my life. And in return, she'd been sneaking around, hiding things from me, screwing some guy behind my back. The hardest part was knowing I couldn't confront her directly without giving her the chance to lie her way out. So I kept quiet, waiting, thinking. I needed a plan. I couldn't just blow up and accuse her without proof. But I also knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I had to find a way to get to the bottom of it, to see how deep her lies went. I started checking her phone, reading her messages, trying to catch her slip-up. And what I found was worse than I expected. Texts, photos, even a few racy messages with Michael, the chef. It was all right there, plain as day. At this point, I was furious. Not just hurt, but furious. How could she be so callous, so manipulative? I felt like I'd been betrayed by someone I loved and trusted. I realized that I was in a situation where I had to decide whether to fight for us or walk away. But deep down, I knew that trusting her again would be impossible. Once you see someone you love in bed with another man, the foundation of your relationship crumbles. I was done pretending. That day I sat her down and I looked her right in the eyes. I told her I knew everything. I didn't yell, I didn't scream, I just laid it out cold and clear. Her face turned pale, then she started her usual bullshit about how it was nothing serious, just flirting, and she didn't want to hurt me. Yeah, right, I didn't buy it. I told her it was over, that I couldn't stay with someone who disrespected me that way. She got angry, called me insecure, said I was overreacting, but honestly, I didn't care. I was done. Done with her lies, her bullshit, her betrayal. It was like waking up from a nightmare I'd been in for too long, and I finally saw the truth. Now I'm here trying to figure out what's next. Do I fight for this marriage? Do I walk away? Part of me wants to destroy her, to make her pay for what she did. Part of me just wants to forget everything and move on. Honestly, I'm still angry, still hurt. But I also know I deserve better. The pain is raw, but it's a wake-up call. Trust is broken and I don't think I can fix it. Not with her. Not after what I saw, what I know now. All I want is to move past this, but I know it's going to take time, and maybe a lot of therapy, both for me and for her if she even cares enough to fix what she shattered. After I confronted Lisa with everything I had uncovered, things didn't immediately blow up the way I expected. Hell, she still tried to act like she was innocent, like I was overreacting. She threw out all the cliches. It didn't mean anything. It was just a stupid mistake. I love you, and the classic. You're just jealous because I'm learning new cooking secrets. The way she said it, like I was supposed to believe her, made my stomach turn. I saw right through her bullshit, but I kept my cool. I knew I needed to think this through, to get my head clear before I made any rash decisions. In the days that followed, I kept my distance. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break down or losing control. I spent hours going over everything in my head, replaying that night in the wine cellar, trying to figure out what her endgame was. I also started looking into her phone, her messages, her social media. I was determined to find out how deep this thing went. Turns out, she'd been sneaking around for months, hiding conversations, even deleting some of her texts. But I caught enough of what I needed to see. The truth was staring me right in the face. One night, I finally decided to dig a little deeper into her emails. I found some receipts from hotels, receipts for gifts she bought, things I never knew about, and a bunch of messages from Michael, mostly suggestive, some downright explicit. It was clear this wasn't just a fling. It was something she'd been nurturing for a while. She'd been lying about her learning cooking secrets to cover her tracks. The more I found, the more my anger swelled. How could she lie to my face for so long? How could she pretend to be this loving wife when she was out screwing some guy I admired? I was angry, yes, but I also felt this overwhelming sadness. I'd built a life with her, shared dreams, made plans, and now all of that felt like a house of cards ready to collapse. I couldn't help but wonder how she'd even managed to hide it so well for so long. She was bitchy, manipulative, and utterly selfish. She'd lie to my face and then turn around and accuse me of being paranoid if I questioned her. That was her playbook, gaslighting me, twisting everything, making me doubt my own judgment. I saw her now clearly for what she was, a cheat, a liar, someone who didn't value what we had. The next step was deciding how to handle her. I wasn't about to stay silent and let her keep spinning her lies. I knew I needed to confront her again, but this time with solid proof. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some naive fool anymore. I'd gathered enough evidence, screenshots, emails, receipts, to make her realize that I was serious. I sat her down again, pulled out my phone, and showed her everything I'd found. Her face twisted into a sneer, and she started her usual denial, saying I was crazy or paranoid, that I was reading too much into things. I told her if she thought she could keep lying, she was dead wrong. That night I laid out my final decision. Either she was going to come clean or I was gone. She didn't take it well. She started crying, acting all innocent, saying she loved me, that she was sorry, that it was just a mistake, that she didn't mean for it to happen. But I'd heard enough. Her crocodile tears didn't fool me anymore. I'd seen her true face, nasty, selfish, and so far gone that she couldn't even see how much she was hurting. I told her she'd crossed the line, and if she wanted to fix this, she had to do it honestly, no more lies. But honestly, I didn't think she was capable of real remorse. She was just acting, trying to manipulate her way out of it. That night was a turning point. I knew I couldn't keep pretending things were okay. The trust was shattered beyond repair. I realized that staying in this relationship would only drag me down, make me bitter, and destroy whatever shred of self-respect I had left. I needed to get out, to cut my losses before I got more hurt. So I told her I was done with her lies, her cheating, her manipulations. I was going to stay at my brother's place for a while, figure out what I wanted, and decide whether I could even look at her in the same way again. The aftermath was brutal. Lisa got even more bitchy, yelling at me, calling me insecure, saying I was overreacting. She begged, she pleaded, she blamed me for everything. She insisted it was just sex, just a stupid mistake, that she'd never do it again. But I knew better. I saw her for who she was, a liar and a cheat. And I didn't want to be with someone who could betray me that way, especially during what was supposed to be a special night. I felt more betrayed than I ever had before, and I knew I had to start rebuilding my life from scratch. Now, I'm just trying to figure out if I can ever forgive her or if moving on is the only way. Part of me wants to tear everything down to make her feel how much she screwed me over. The other part knows I need to heal, that I need to find some kind of closure. I've learned a lot from all this. Trust is fragile, and when it's broken, it's damn hard to fix. I wish I could say I'm over it already, but the truth is, I'm still hurt, still angry, and still trying to process how someone I loved could do something so cruel. The days after I told Lisa I was leaving felt like they were ripped straight out of some emotional nightmare. I kept replaying everything in my head, the secret glances, the sneaking away, the way she lied straight to my face. It was like I'd been hit with a sledgehammer, and every moment I had trusted her felt like it was crumbling to dust. Honestly, I didn't sleep much. I'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what I could have done differently, what I should do now. Part of me was furious at her, another part just devastated. She continued her bitchy attitude, throwing tantrums, calling me paranoid, insisting she loved me and wanted to fix everything. But I saw through it. I knew she was just trying to manipulate me to make me feel guilty for catching her. The thing is, I didn't want her tears or her fake apologies. I wanted the truth, and I got it. The truth that she'd been screwing around, hiding it all with her lies. And honestly, that's what cut the deepest. I don't think I'll ever be able to look at her the same way again. The woman I married, the woman I trusted, she was nothing more than a con artist. I started focusing on me. I bought a new apartment nearby, smaller but mine. I needed space, a place to breathe, to figure out what the hell I was going to do next. Moving out was harder than I thought. I hated feeling like I was abandoning the life I built, but I knew staying with her would be worse. I'd lost my confidence, my sense of security. Every time I'd try to talk to her, she'd brush me off or twist her words around. She insisted it was just sex, that she still loved me, that she would never do it again. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I'd seen the evidence, and I knew her words were just more lies. One thing that really angered me was how she kept trying to spin it like I was the problem, that I was overreacting, that I was insecure. She'd toss out accusations that I didn't trust her enough, that I was paranoid. But I knew better. I'd caught her in the act. Her words rang hollow. I could see the bullshit she was feeding herself just to keep her ego intact. That made me feel even more betrayed, like she was more concerned with saving her own ass than actually fixing what she'd broken. She never once apologized for the cheating. All she did was try to make me doubt myself. That's the worst kind of manipulation. In the middle of all this chaos, I started talking to some friends, mainly to get perspective. One buddy, Mark, told me to focus on myself, to get out of the house and do things that made me happy again. I took his advice. I started hitting the gym, doing some hiking, reconnecting with old hobbies I'd neglected. It helped a little. But honestly, every time I was alone, the pain would creep back in. I kept asking myself, how could she be so selfish? How could she betray me like this during what was supposed to be the happiest night of our lives? It felt like the worst betrayal I'd ever experienced. And then there was the anger. Oh, the anger. I was seething at her, at Michael, at myself for not catching on sooner. How did I let this happen? I kept telling myself I should have seen the signs, but honestly, I didn't want to believe it. I was in denial, thinking maybe it was just a fling or something minor. But no, it was so much worse. I'd been played like a fool, and I'd been blind to it for months. The feeling of betrayal was overwhelming. I felt like I'd been sucker punched, and I was left with this intense ache inside my chest, like I was carrying a heavy weight I couldn't put down. Despite all this, I knew I had to keep going. I had to figure out what I really wanted, whether it was to fight for the marriage or walk away completely. Honestly, I was leaning toward walking away. I didn't think I could trust her again, not after what I'd seen and what I'd uncovered. Every time I tried to forgive her, that image of her kissing Michael kept flashing in my mind. I couldn't unsee it. Part of me felt guilty, like I was giving up too easily, but another part just knew I couldn't keep pretending. Trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to repair, at least in my eyes. One night I sat down with her again. I told her I made up my mind. I was done trying to salvage this. I just couldn't do it anymore. I told her she had one last chance to be honest with me, to tell me the truth, all of it, and then I'd decide what to do. She looked at me with those manipulative eyes, trying to plead her case, trying to make me feel guilty. But I was done feeling guilty for catching her. I told her I didn't want to hear her lies anymore. If she was serious about fixing this, she had to start with telling the truth. I needed to hear her say she cheated, admit it outright, no spin, no excuses. She hesitated, then finally admitted that she'd been unfaithful, said she felt suffocated, that I was paying enough attention to her, and that Michael was just some guy she'd gotten involved with because she was lonely and wanted to feel alive again. Yeah, I knew that was bullshit. She was just covering her ass, trying to make herself look like the victim. But it didn't matter anymore. The damage was done. I looked her in the eyes and told her that I was done. I couldn't stay with someone who'd betray me so thoroughly, who'd lie and cheat during what was supposed to be our special night. Now I'm left with the aftermath, trying to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. Every day is a struggle. I feel a mix of anger, sadness, and relief all at once. The relief because I finally know the truth. The anger because she lied to me for so long. And the sadness because I lost the woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved. I keep telling myself that I deserve better, that I'll eventually find someone who values honesty and loyalty. But right now, it just hurts too much to think about any of that. All I want is to move on, to forget her, and to rebuild my life, even if that means starting completely over. It's been a few weeks since I told Lisa I was done, and honestly, I feel like I've been hit by a train. The house was dead silent after I moved out, and every night I'd lie awake wondering how I let things get so bad. I kept replaying the betrayal, the lies, the moment I finally saw her kissing Michael in the cellar. That image haunts me, like a scar I can't seem to forget. I kept thinking about all the times she lied, all the little things I missed, and how blind I'd been. It's a gut-wrenching feeling, like I was stupid for trusting her, stupid for thinking we had something real. I threw myself into the process of rebuilding. I got a new apartment, which is small but mine. I figured I needed space to breathe, time to heal. I also started going to therapy, not because I thought I'd fix everything overnight, but to process the pain, anger, and betrayal. Some days are better than others. I still get pissed off whenever I see her name pop up on my phone or when I think about her sneaking around behind my back. The worst part is that I don't even know if I want her back. I keep telling myself I deserve someone who won't betray me, someone who's honest and loyal. But deep down, I feel this ache, this deep sadness that I lost the woman I loved, the woman I thought was my partner in everything. The thing that's been surprising me is how quickly I realized how much her lies used to control me. I was so blinded by love, by hope, that I overlooked the red flags. She was bitchy, manipulative, and always quick to spin stories when things got tough. I see it now clearly. She'd gaslight me, make me doubt myself, all with that bitchy sneer she'd get when she thought she'd won an argument. I used to think I was just being insecure, but now I see how her lies kept me off balance. I was so eager to keep the peace, to believe she was just stressed or overwhelmed, that I never stopped to look at what she was really doing. I also started hanging out more with my brother and some old friends. They've been a huge help, reminding me that I'm better off without someone who disrespects me that way. One of my buddies, Chris, told me to start doing things that made me feel alive again. So I took up mountain biking, started working out regularly, and even signed up for some cooking classes just to keep myself busy. It's not much, but it helps to have a routine, something to focus on besides the pain. The anger still lingers, though. I get mad at her for lying, for cheating, for throwing away what we had. I get mad at Michael, too, for taking advantage of her and me. I even get mad at myself for not noticing sooner. It's a lot to process. Sometimes I wonder if I was blind or just too in love to see what was happening right under my nose. I keep telling myself I'll be okay, that time heals, but it's a slow process. Every day, I wake up feeling like I've been robbed of something precious. One thing I've learned is that trust, once broken, is almost impossible to mend. I see that now. I thought I could forgive her, maybe even forget, but the truth is, I don't think I can. Not unless she really changed, unless she proved she was genuinely sorry. And honestly, I doubt she's capable of that. She's still bitchy, still manipulative when she talks to me. Her apologies sound hollow, like she's just trying to save her own ass. I don't need that kind of fake apology. I need honesty, loyalty, someone who respects me. And she showed me she's not that person. So I've decided I'm going to focus on myself for now. No contact, at least for a while. I need to get my head straight and figure out what I want long term. Do I want to try to fix this? Do I want to walk away entirely? Honestly, the thought of trying again makes my stomach turn. The trust is shattered and I don't see how we could ever rebuild what was lost. I've started thinking about dating again, but I'm not there yet. For now, I just want to get through each day without feeling like I was completely duped. Overall, I've learned some tough lessons. I learned that love isn't enough if it's built on lies, that people can hide who they really are until it's too late, and that sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away before you get more hurt. No matter how much it sucks, I know I'll come out of this stronger. I have to. I refuse to let her betrayal define me. I'll rebuild my life piece by piece, and someday I'll find someone who truly respects me and values honesty. But right now, I just need time to heal and to forget the woman who tore my world apart. It's been a long, brutal road since that night in the wine cellar. Honestly, I never thought I'd get to this point, standing here, finally starting to feel like I'm slowly, maybe even steadily, pulling myself back together. The pain still lingers, but it's not as sharp as it was. Time has a way of dulling even the deepest cuts, and I guess I've reached a point where I can breathe again without feeling like I'm suffocating. I've learned that people can hide their true selves for a long time, that trust is fragile, and that sometimes walking away is the only way to save what's left of your sanity. Looking back, I realize I was so caught up in love, so eager to believe in her that I ignored all the warning signs. I convinced myself she was just stressed or busy or maybe just a little bitchy, but the truth was much darker. She was manipulating me with her lies, hiding her affair behind a facade of cooking secrets and fake tears. And Michael, the guy I once admired, turned out to be just another player in her game. I feel stupid for not seeing it sooner, but I also feel relieved. Relieved that I finally faced the truth, no matter how ugly. Now I focus on myself. I've rebuilt my space, my routines, and my sense of self-worth. I'm not rushing into anything new. I just want to be okay with being alone for a while. I've learned that healing doesn't come from rushing. It comes from accepting what happened and giving myself time. I've also come to accept that some wounds leave scars that never fully fade, but that doesn't mean I can't learn to live with them and move forward. I've reflected a lot about what this experience has taught me. Trust is sacred, and once it's broken, it's incredibly hard to restore. I also learned that people can be masters of deception, hiding their true motives behind a charming mask. Most importantly, I learned that I deserve someone who respects me enough to be honest, someone who values loyalty and integrity. I won't settle for less anymore. The truth is, I don't hate Lisa, at least not anymore. I used to a lot, but now I just feel sorry for her. Sorry that she's too selfish or too scared to be honest. Sorry that she chose to betray what we had rather than try to fix it. I hope she finds whatever it is she's looking for, but I also know I can't be part of that anymore. I have to let go of what we lost and focus on rebuilding my own happiness. So I want to leave this here, not as a story of heartbreak alone, but as a lesson. If you find yourself in a similar spot, whether your partner cheats, lies, or manipulates, you have a choice. Stay and suffer or walk away and start over. I chose the latter. It's not easy, and honestly, some days still feel like a punch in the gut. But I know I'll be okay. I've learned that my worth isn't defined by someone else's lies or betrayal, but by how I choose to rebuild and move on. In the end, I'm grateful I saw the truth before I lost myself completely. Every betrayal, every lie, every heartbreak has made me stronger, more cautious, more aware. And even though I'm still healing, I feel a renewed sense of hope. I believe someday I'll find someone who truly cares, who's honest from the start, and who values what I bring to the table. Until then, I'll keep moving forward, one step at a time. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that life goes on, and I refuse to let her betrayal define my future.